Hi guys, so let's talk about simple interest. Simple interest is when you, for example, you put a whole lot of money into the bank, and then after a certain period of time, the bank actually pays you some money. They pay you interest for pretty much the fact that you've given them your money to look after, and that's called interest. So we want to talk about how you can calculate that. Another example would be if you took a loan from the bank, you would, after a certain period of time, have to actually give them some money. So the formula for simple interest is I equals PRT. Now, each of these stands for something. I stands for the interest, which is the amount of money created, or the amount that you have to actually give the bank, for example, if you're doing a loan. So amount of money created. The principal is the value or the amount of money invested that you put in the bank, for example. That's what an investment would be, or borrowed. The rate, which is what R stands for, that is the interest rate. So you would hear that on the television. You might hear, this is a home loan and you have 3.28% interest, all right? So that's the interest rate. Now, when we put it in the formula, though, that is the rate as a decimal. And so if you have a percent, to convert that to a decimal, you have to divide by 100, and you have to make sure you do that. Then the final thing over here is T, which is time, and this is the time in years. All right, so T stands for time in years, and again, if you don't have the time in years, you need to convert it. So for example, if you have weeks to years, you have to divide by 52. Days to years, you divide by 365, and months to years, you divide by 12. So that's the general information. Copy that down, make sure you understand that. Then finally, what we need to just talk about really quickly is an example. So Tim loans $10,000 to the bank. No, maybe he takes out a loan. He doesn't loan money to the bank. He takes out a loan of $5,000 or $10,000. Let's go $10,000 at 4% interest for 6 months. What is the amount of interest? So what we're going to do is firstly write down our formula. So that's I equals P times R times T. Then what we're going to do next is we're just going to write down what facts we know. So we know that the principal is $10,000, sorry. That's the amount he borrowed. Okay. The rate is 4%, but we're going to divide that by 100, so that's going to become 0.04. And the time is 6 months, but we're going to divide that by 12, so that's going to be 0.5 years. And then we're going to put those values into our formula. So I is going to equal the principal, 10,000, times the rate, which is 0.04, times the time, which is 0.5. That is going to give us $200. So that's the amount of money that I have to pay the bank after 6 months. Now, the final type of question you might get asked is, what's the closing balance? And the closing balance means after that 6-month period, or however long the period is, how much money do I have in total? Or how much money, in this case, does the bank have in total? So if I have done this, my closing balance in general is the principal plus the interest. All right, so it's going to be 10,000 plus 200. Think about this more if you had actually put money into the bank rather than you took money out. You put $10,000 in, After 6 months, the bank pays you $200, and so your closing balance is $12,000. Hope that helps with simple interest. You should now be able to solve some questions.